Welcome back with a new math tutorial. In this video, we'll know how we can add and subtract two mixed numbers. So if you look at the question, we have here 7 and 4 over 9 plus 10 and 2 over 9. Before we start, we need to revise how we can add a whole number and a fraction. Suppose that I have here 3 plus 1 over 2. If you have here whole number plus a fraction, so the answer now will be equal 3 and 1 over 2. Just we write the whole number beside the fraction to form a mixed number. We will follow the same now. We have 7 and 4 over 9 plus 10 and 2 over 9. Just add the two whole numbers together. So 7 and 4 equals 217. Now it will be plus. Look at the two fractions that we have. We have here 4 over 9 plus 2 over 9. If you need to add the two fractions, you need to make sure that the two fractions with the same denominator. Once we have here the same denominator, so we can add them. So it will be equals. That will be 17 plus the same denominator, so we just write it. 4 plus 2 equals 6. Now 6 over 9 is not the simplest form, because we can write 6 as 2 times 3. And 9 will be equals 3 multiplied by 3. We can cancel out 3 and 3, so it will be equals 17 plus 2 over 3. Because we have here 17 plus 2 over 3, so the answer in the simplest form will be 17 and 2 over 3. Again for question number 3. Now we have here 6 and 1 over 8 plus 2 and 5 over 8. At the first, I will just add the two whole numbers together. So 6 plus 2 equals 8 plus, open a bracket, we have here 1 over 8 plus 5 over 8. Now we can add the two fractions. If the two fractions with the same denominator, so we just write here, that will be 8 plus 8 and 8. They have the same denominator, so we just write it. 1 plus 5 equals 6. Now we have here 6 over 8 is not the simplest form, because we know that 6 is equals 2 multiplied by 3, and 8 is equals 2 times 4. We can cancel out 2 and 2, so still we have here 8 plus 3 over 4. 8 plus 3 over 4 will be equals 8 and 3 over 4. In question number 5, we have 1 and 5 over 9 plus 4 and 1 over 6. At the first, I will add the whole numbers. So 1 and 4 equals 5. Now plus, open a bracket, we have here 5 over 9 plus 1 over 6. If you look at the two fractions, they are unlike fractions. To add the unlike fraction, they must have the same denominator. So at the first, I will just make the common denominator for them by using the LCM. By using the LCM, you will find that the LCM for them will be equals 18. I will just write 18 here. 9 becomes 18 if you multiply it by 2. So 5 times 2 equals 10. 6 becomes 18 if you multiply it by 3. 1 times 3 equals 3. So by adding the two numbers now will be equals 5 plus 10 and 3 equal 13 over 18. So the simplest form now will be equals 5 and 13 over 18. Just we add the whole number to the fraction to form the mixed number. In question number 7, you will find that we need to subtract 13 and 7 over 8 minus 9 and 3 over 4. To subtract, you need to check. The first fraction is greater than the second one. You need to compare between them. So I need to compare between 7 over 8 and 3 over 4. 4 times 7 equals 28. And 8 times 3 equals 24. You will find that 28 is greater than 24, so the first fraction is greater than the second fraction. So we can subtract. How we can subtract them? We will subtract the whole number. 13 minus 9 equals 4. Even if the question is plus or minus, I'll just write plus between the fraction and the whole number. Now I need to subtract 7 over 8 minus 3 over 4. To subtract, they must have the same denominator. So we just write the whole number plus. By making the LCM for the 8 and 4, you will find that the lowest common multiple for them will be equals 8. 8 becomes 8, there is no change, so we just write 7. Minus 4 becomes 8 if we multiply it by 2. So 3 times 2 equals 6. If you don't know how we can find the LCM, just go back to adding unlike fractions. So we have here 7 over 8 minus 6 over 8, it will be equals to 1 over 8. So it will be equal 4 plus 1 over 8. Now will be equal. By adding a whole number in a fraction, it will be 4 and 1 over 8. Again for question number 9. 2 and 1 over 3 minus 1 and 2 over 3. As we said before, to subtract you need to make sure that the first fraction is greater than the second one. We have 1 over 3 and 2 over 3. By comparing, you will find that the first fraction is smaller than the second one. So how we can solve? To solve, we need to borrow 1. If you remember when I say 31 minus 17. So say 1 minus 7, it's impossible, borrow 1. So that will be 2 and 1 will be 11. So 11 minus 7 equals 4. We will follow the same. Just I will borrow 1 from 2. If you borrow 1 from 2, the whole number now will be equals 1. Now the change will be only for the numerator. How we can change the numerator? By adding 1. So 1 now will be 3 over 3 because the denominator equals 3. Again for this point. If you borrow 1, just look at the denominator here. The denominator is 3, so just add it to the numerator, it will be equal. 1 plus 3 equals 4. So the new fraction that we have now will be 1 and 4 over 3 minus 1 and 2 over 3. Again, how we find 4 over 3? When we borrow 1, 2 becomes 1. And now the denominator is 3. Just we add 3 plus 1 and write it for the numerator. Now the first fraction is greater than the second one, so all what we have to do, 4 over 3 minus 2 over 3 equal 2 over 3. And 1 minus 1 equals 0. Because we will subtract the whole number, so 1 minus 1 equals 0. 0 plus 2 over 3, the answer will be equal to 2 over 3. For question number 2, we have here 8 and 5 over 6 minus 2 and 1 over 3. Before we start, we need to check that the first fraction is greater than the second one. We have 5 over 6 and 1 over 3. 3 times 5 equals 15. 6 times 1 equals 6. So the first fraction is greater than the second fraction. So it works. So I will subtract. 8 minus 2 equals 6. Plus, open a bracket. We have here 5 over 6 minus 1 over 3. If you look at the two denominator now, they are unlike fractions. So we need to make a common denominator that we can subtract them. We can find the LCM of 6 and 3. It will be equal 6. So it will be equals 6 plus. Open a bracket. We will make the denominator for both of them equal 6. 6 becomes 6. It means there is no change. So I will write 5. 3 becomes 6 if we multiply it by 2. So 1 times 2 equals 2. Now we have here 5 over 6 minus 3 over 6. So 5 over 6 minus 3 over 6 will be equal 3 over 6. But 3 over 6 is not the simplest form. So we have here 6 plus 3 divided by 3 equals 1 and 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Again, how we can simplify it? We know that 3 is equal 3 multiplied by 1 and 6 is equals 3 multiplied by 2. We can cancel out 3 and 3. So still we have 1 over 2. So 6 plus 1 over 2. That means the answer now will be equal 6 and 1 over 2. Again for question number 6. We have 5 and 4 over 10 minus 1 and 3 over 4. At the first I need to check if 4 over 5 is greater than 3 over 10 or not. 10 times 4 equals 40. 5 times 3 equals 15. So we have here 40 is greater than 15. The first fraction is greater than the second one. So we can subtract. 5 minus 1 equals 4. Plus, we need to make a common denominator for them. 5 and 10. To subtract them, we need to make a common denominator will be equals 10. 5 becomes 10 if you multiply it by 2. So 4 times 2 equals 8. 10 becomes 10. There is no change, so I will write 3. So it will be equals 4 plus 8 minus 3 equals 5. And that will be 5 over 10. 5 over 10 which is equals to 5 times 1 and 10 which is equal 5 times 2. Cancel 5 and 5. It will be 1 over 2. So 4 plus 1 over 2 equals 4 and 1 over 2. Now for question number 8 by the same way. We have 2 over 3 and 1 over 2. Before we start solving, we need to check that 2 over 3 is greater than 1 over 2. So I will just compare between them. We have here 2 over 3 and 1 over 2. 2 times 2 equals 4. 3 times 1 equals 3. 4 is greater than 3, so the first fraction is greater than the second one. So we will subtract 8 minus 2 equals 6. Plus, open a bracket. Now we have two unlike fractions, so we need to make a common denominator for them. If you need to find the LCM for 2 and 3, you will find that it will be equal 6. Now 3 becomes 6 if you multiply it by 2. 2 times 2 equals 4. 2 becomes 6 if you multiply it by 3. So 1 times 3 equals 3. 4 over 6 minus 3 over 6 equals 1 over 6. So we have 6 plus 1 over 6, which equals 6 and 1 over 6. In question number 10, we have 7 minus 1 over 2. To subtract now, we have a whole number minus mixed number. So we need to borrow 1. We borrow 1 to subtract here a fraction minus a fraction and the whole number minus the whole number. So if you borrow 1 from 7, it will be equal 6. And the new fraction now will be equal. The denominator that we have here 2, it will be 2 and 2 over 2. Again for this point. Now we have a whole number minus mixed number. So if you borrow 1 from the whole number, it will be equal 6. And the fraction now will be equal. 1 is equal 1 over 1, 2 over 2, 3 over 3, 4 over 4. We will choose according to the second denominator. So the second denominator here is 2, so it will be 2 over 2. Minus, I will write the second one, which is 1 and 1 over 2. It will be equals. Now 6 minus 1 equals 5. 2 over 2 minus 1 over 2, we just write 2 minus 1 equals 1. And we write the 2 without any change because we have like fractions. So for this point, I will just subtract here the whole number minus the whole number, which is 5, and the 2 minus 1 equals 1. We will write then the denominator because we have a like fractions. In question number 11, we have the same. 8 minus 3 over 4. A whole number minus mixed number. We can subtract. So we will borrow 1. 8 becomes 7. And the fraction now will be 3 over 4 because the denominator equals 4. So I will make it 4 over 4. Minus 3 and the 3 over 4. Now we will subtract. The whole number minus the whole number. 7 minus 3 equals 4. And the denominator will be the same. 4 minus 3 equals 1. So the answer now will be equal 4 and 1 over 4. Now we have a mixed number minus mixed number. We said to subtract them, you need to check if the first fraction is greater than the second fraction or not. Now 1 over 4 is smaller than 3 over 4. Because the first fraction is smaller than the second fraction, we can subtract. We need to borrow 1. So I will borrow 1 from 3, it will be equals 2. The denominator will be the same. Now the denominator here is 4. So just add 4 plus 1 will be equals 5. Because we borrow 1, this one is 4 over 4. 4 over 4 plus 1 over 4 equals 5 over 4. So with an easy way, just borrow 1 and make it 2. Now we have 4. Just add it to 1, it will be equals 5. Minus 1 and the 3 over 4. If you look at the two fractions, they are like fractions, so we just subtract. 2 minus 1 equals 1. 5 over 4 minus 3 over 4, we just write 4 here. 5 minus 3 equals 2. 2 over 4 is not the simplest form. We can simplify, just write 1. 2 divided by 2 equals 1. And 4 divided by 2 equals 2. So the answer in the simplest form will be equal 1 and 1 over 2. And that's how we can adding and subtracting two mixed numbers.